Due to a stroke I had, I can no longer draw with a pen. This tutorial teaches the basics of coloring a page in Photoshop using a mouse. I hope others may benefit from this older method.
We will be coloring this werewolf.
We begin by choosing Select, then Color Range from the drop-down. In the panel that pops up, put the slider to 200. Choose the color you want to select, in this case black, with the eyedropper. On your keyboard, hit Ctrl X to cut the selected area from the screen. Then hit Ctrl V to paste it back in at a new layer. Make sure you are on the image layer. Use the color range again and select gray with the eyedropper. Hit Ctrl X to cut the selected color. And Ctrl to paste it into a new layer, so now you have captured your lines and shades from the image. Now, deselect that image layer and create a new layer. Use the Paint Bucket tool to paint that layer white. You now have 3 layers, made up of black lines, gray shades, and a white background, so you can see everything clearly. Select the Quick Selection tool and highlight the black bars on either side of the werewolf. This makes it so you only grab the 2 bars and none of the wolf. Now switch to your Magic Wand tool and select all the white areas outside the wolf. Don't forget between the rear leg and tail. Choose the Select button and choose Invert from the drop-down. Now the wolf is selected. Set the blending mode for this layer to multiply. With the wolf still selected, create a new layer just above the white layer. Now choose a brown color and go to Edit, then Fill. It will color only the werewolf because it, alone, is selected. This is the time to name this layer, Color. You don't want to confuse them at this point. Take note, this is the time you can adjust the opacity, which will make it darker or lighter, and if you want to blend something from behind the color layer, it will be visible with the opacity below 100%. This is optional, but I don't like how dark the brown is on the far legs. You can't see the textures. On the color layer, erase the brown on the far legs. You need to be able to manually adjust the color difference so you can see the textures. With the wolf selected, as he has been all along here, create a new layer. Now you need to recolor the legs back in the same brown. And adjust the opacity so the brown is light enough to show the leg textures and match up to the forward legs. This is the advantage of putting these 2 legs on their own layer. You can adjust opacity, or if desired you can add effects if you so choose. These are the kinds of things you can only do with a separate layer set aside to do this. This is why you often see me creating separate layers. It gives me options I might want to adjust later. Okay, now we want to zoom in on the eyes. This is going to be layering hell if you are a beginner. Go to the lines layer, grab your magic wand and select inside the eyes. Now go to Select, and choose Modify, from the drop-down list, then choose Expand, to enlarge the eyes slightly and, in the pop-up box, type in 1, and hit OK. Select a red color and go to your color layer. The expanded eyes, still selected from the previous step, will be hidden by the lines layer, so when filled it will cover the whole eye area. Otherwise sometimes pixels get missed along the edges of the selection, and your eyes will look spotted. Deselect the eyes, then change the color to white, and select the paintbrush tool. Adjust it to half the size of the eye and place a white dot as shown on both eyes.
Now pick your ink pen and begin outlining the pupil.
I don't know if you know how to use the ink pen, but I'll simply explain. Left click to create your starting point. Click on your next point to create another anchor point, and if you hold down the left mouse button as you create that anchor point, it will flex. Let go and go on to your next anchor point, then back to your starting point. Under the pen tool is the point adjustment arrow. You can use this to fine adjust your points and create the exact shape you want. Be sure your color is set to black, then right-click on your mouse and find the Fill Path command and click it. Your selection will be filled. Go back to the point selection tool and left-click and hold over it, and the path selection tool will appear. This will allow you to drag the whole path instead of just one point. Drag the path over the other eye, then right-click and select the option to free transform. Now drag the point on the left side of the path to the opposite side. Right-click and select Fill Path and it will fill in the path with black. Change your color to white and use the brush tool to create a white highlight reflection on the eyeballs. Now we need to do the teeth. We start off by taking care of anomalies in the image. Choose your line layer and make your color black and use your brush tool to fix the graphic. Select your magic wand and begin selecting the teeth. If you select something wrong, you can choose Ctrl-Z to undo the last step, then go on selecting until you have all the teeth. Create a new layer, make sure it's under the line layer. Name it Teeth, then go choose a dark yellow color. Teeth are never white unless it's a highlight. Now choose the Marquee tool and right-click to find the Fill Path tool and fill the teeth. Okay, now hit Ctrl-0 and the picture will zoom out to fit everything on the screen. It's time to work on the bloody gashes on the wolf's body. I imagine they would be red and inflamed. Grab your pen tool and begin to outline the gashes one at a time. Take your time and outline accurately. Remember to hold down the mouse to flex the path to make it easier to outline. You can use the point selection tool to be as accurate as you like. You need to create a new layer and name it Scars. Be sure it's under the lines layer. Choose a red color, and right-click on it to find the Fill Path button. There are certain rules that have to be followed in Photoshop. You need to have the right tool chosen to get the correct options. In this case, you can select the Marquee tool to get the fill option when you right-click on it. Again, repeat for every gash on the Warewolf. It's tedious, but worth the effort. I'm not going to outline them all on camera, but will show you the end result. Create a new layer and name it Shadows. Choose a marquee select tool and outline the area you want to make into a shadow. In this case, the lower stomach. You have to have a light source in mind, and I envision the sun is above and in front off to the right. Make sure you have a brown color darker than the wolf's base coat, and right-click and choose Fill Path to add the shadow. Again, right-click and use the Fill Path tool. Go to the opacity at the top of the Layers panel and reduce it down to create a shadow effect. Select the Lines layer. Now we need to outline the wolf again. Choose the Quick Select tool, and select the two black shapes on the ends. Now select the magic wand and select the white around the wolf, including the area between the tail and back leg. Go to Select and choose Invert from the drop-down, and the marquee will revert from the outer selection to the wolf. Now create a new layer under the Lines layer. Select a lighter color than the wolf's fur, and begin painting light onto the highlights of his skin. This takes a lot of time. I see the light as being in front of the wolf, up above and to the right of the wolf. Wherever the light source, it makes a difference where light will hit and where shadows will be cast. For instance, the light will hit the right side of the ear and cast a shadow over the rest of that ear where light can't touch it. It will also light up the top and front of his torso, where it will leave a sharp contrast with the shadows that curve away from the light. You will also see on the round sections like the legs and arms. With the light source being in front, the front of the limbs are lit up so they are bright on front and side, but cast a shadow as it curves around and away from the light. Don't worry about accuracy right now. We will deal with that next. The face has a lot of shapes. In this case, the right side of the ear will be lit, and cast a shadow on the other side. Also on the face, the brow ridges will catch the light. Most of the muzzle will be lit, as will all the fur on the right side. Finally, the nose and the chin will catch the light and abruptly cut off the brightness from the left side. Notice the tail also casts a shadow on the back leg because it is in front of that leg. We now deselect the marquee and zoom in to begin the detail. This begins a great deal of the detail of the work using the same tool in two different ways. We carefully use the pen tool to accurately outline an area we want to fix. In this case, that eye needs to be in shadow, so we outline, making sure we are on the highlight layer. Right-click and choose Make Selection from the drop-down. With this area selected, we can now erase the light color, and the darker color under creates the shadow we want to better define the wolf. Rinse and repeat this step all over the animal, carefully defining where the light will hit and where shadows will be created. Right here the muzzle drops away from the light, so we use the pin tool to outline the cutoff point. We do the same with the shoulder, where the large muscle is rounded to catch the light. I'm not going to bore you with this, so we will jump ahead to view an already prepared layer. Notice wherever there is a rounded area, or something blocks the light, I stripped away the lighter layer to reveal the shadow. I'm not a fan of sharp edges, so we can fix this by selecting the smudge tool and using it to blur the sharp lines. The tool is also useful for areas where you failed to color. You can just grab an edge and drag the color to where you want it. This is actually one of my favorite tools. You can make fine adjustments this way by adjusting the size of the brush. With the tool selected, you can go to the top of the bar and also adjust how strong a pull you want to achieve. Sometimes you want to smear a lot of paint around or very little by adjusting the percentage. I also didn't like how the light blurred out the red of his scars, so I used this tool to wipe away some of the light color to make it look more like the scars were deeper and reveal more of the red. And there you are. You can go on to add much more detail and background, but I will leave that up to you. With Photoshop or many other graphics packages, you can add many textures and effects as you desire. All it takes is practice.